Hello and welcome to DIY Give It a Try. Today I'm going to take you through the process I took to create this very simple jig for my router, which then enabled me to cut a beautiful circle. Yay! So I'm going to paint on this. You could do all sorts of things. You could make breadboards, you could make tabletops, you can make all sorts of things with this jig. And really the size, there is no limit. It's really up to you. So the process is super simple, and so I hope you enjoy watching me create it. This is DIY Give It a Try, and I am not a professional woodworker. I am not a professional anything, to be honest. But I watched a lot of videos, and hopefully this video will help you to create the circles out of wood that you desire. Hope you enjoy. So I started off by grabbing this piece of 5mm plastic out of my husband's backyard. And I used this square just to roughly halve it, but draw an even line just by running the square down and with the pen on the end there. And then I used a handsaw to cut through it. I did try and use the drop saw, but yeah, that was not a not a safe thing, but a kickback going on. So I resorted to the old handsaw, and it did a brilliant job. It was just really easy to cut through, and managed to stay on the line quite nicely, so I was quite proud of myself with that. How does it get any better? So this, I asked Glenn what the plastic is, and he said it's just 5mm thick HPE, so basically what milk bottles are made out of. But basically you can use any piece of wood for this. You could use a bit of plywood, you could use a anything really that is got some self-supporting strength to it, and isn't too thick. I quite like this 5mm because the screws of my my router that hold the base plate on fit through it quite nicely. So once I had chopped it through, I just grabbed some 60 grit sandpaper and gave it a rub down just to get rid of the big chunky saw bits. Right, so I have sanded the edges of our piece. The next thing I need to do is to attach it to the router. So I've taken off the base plate, which is just 4 simple screws, and but the cool thing is I can now use that base plate to give me a template of where to put my screws. Basically we're going to end up with that sitting on there, and if I tried to go that way, the screws would be right on the edges, and yeah, I could probably get smaller circles, but they're just really close. Let me show you. So if I was to sit it that way, you see how close those holes are. I just need to move that just slightly and you get to see the holes. So just to give it some stability, I'm going to pop it that way round, and our center point will be about here, and that's where we'll measure from to get our diameter. So while it's here, I'm just going to draw those points quick zoom around all of these as well, because these little ones here are where the up and down spring lets its air out through, and these two, a couple of screws on the base which sit proud, so we need to give some space there, and this lets the sawdust get out. So I'm going to drill those, and then we will be able to create some magic. Okay, so what I've got here is I've got the board that I'm using as a bench space. I've got a piece of scrap wood which I'm quite happy to drill into, and then I've got my piece that I'm drilling, and I'm just going to clamp all three of those together, and what this will allow me to do is to hold the piece still, be comfortable drilling, knowing I'm not going to hurt anything if I go through, and create some magic. So first off, what I'm going to do is I'm going to drill the these holes here first, and create the 6 on the sides. So I need to move that to do that, don't I? And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to drill a pilot hole for the big one, and come back and do the rest. So what I highly recommend when using paste stick, because it's extremely slippery, is to grab a hole punch and create a center point. And there's things that you don't want to fall off. So just, where can you actually see? Just putting that in the center point where you want your drill to start from, and make a dent. That way you end up with your holes where you want them, and not slightly off. Just a little bit out of the way. Hello. Hello. Alright, so I've made those points to start us off with, and the first drill bit that I'm going to use is the drill bit for the screws, which is that one. Alright, probably go a little bit bigger, but when I hold the, if I can hold it, when I hold that in front of the drill, you can see drill on either side, so I know that the screw's not going to touch the sides as it goes through. So oops, wrong way. Yep, nice and straight. Now when drilling plastic, I've found that just short bursts just like that. And you can feel the difference. Look at these pretty curls. You can feel the difference when you hit the wood. Found if you go too long, the plastic actually melts as it's being cut, and that isn't fun. Now, the next step I'm going to do is use this one to drill out these two side holes, as well as countersink here. Alright, again find our now, I definitely don't want to be going too far down with this. And I think I just did. Just like that. Too far. It's too far, and the screw actually won't have anything to bite onto. So what I need now is my Stanley knife. And cut and that actually leaves that bit of plastic behind. Because it didn't go right the way through, which is great. Went all the way through, but didn't go all the way through, if you know what I mean. Just cutting those off. Some of you are wondering why I didn't use my my countersink to do this, and the reason for that is the countersink would have, by the time it got wide enough for the screw to sit down into it, it would have gone all the way through at the bottom, so it's not what I'm after. So I'm going to move this over and bring that a bit closer as well. And then we're going to use a hole saw. Now this hole saw is almost the same size as this, so slightly bigger. It's already set up. It's like 30mm bigger, who cares? One of these days I'll screw it the right way. So a hole saw has pre-drill, and then a cut. Now I'm just looking at this, and if I have that sitting through that, it's actually going to have gone through my block as well. So I'm going to get a second block just to protect this, because this is actually my stuff I'm going to cut the circles out of. So always pays to check when you're using a scrap block that the scrap block's actually going to be deep enough. Alright. So put that back onto there. Clamp it. Put that on there and clamp it. So once again we're going to position our point on there. That's a pretty blunt pre-drill hop. Let's just melt them. There we go. Nearly through. We're through on one side but not the other. Yay! We made it! Alright, let's give you a close-up of my mess. So these are the ones that have kind of almost gone through. See how the spirals have actually hit. These two are fine, but these two are a bit close for comfort. So now I just need to clean this up so that both sides need to be clean. One side so it sits flat onto the router, and the other side, which will be this side, because we've countersunk this side, will be the side that goes to the wood, and we don't want any wood scratches with the plastic. Time for a time lapse. Yoo-hoo! Alright. Right, so I'm just going to give that a quick sand. And then the next step will be drilling out our holes for where we're going to put the holes to make lovely nice round circles at 2-inch diameter increments. If you wanted to do 1-inch increment, you just put the holes half an inch apart. It's really easy. But in art, the sizes of canvases tends to go up in 2-inch increments. 10, 12, 14, 16, you know. So that's what I'm heading for. So if I release our thing there, we can drop that down. Check it out. Nice. So I'm just going to have that sitting like that, so I can go through got my blade at its widest, so the cutting edge is on the end of the ruler. 6, no, let's start at 8 inches. I don't think we'll be going down to 6 inches. So by doing inch spacings, you're going to get 2-inch diameters, because this is the measurement of the radius, which is half of the width of the circle. Easy peasy. So now it's just a matter of putting holes through there, and they only need to be holes big enough for our, what are those things called? Nails. Because it only needs to be a nail head, a nail point into the circle. And then once again I'm going to clamp the board as long as the hole is smaller than the head of the nail, so that it doesn't pop through. You're good. And that's as hard as it is, my friends. I'm going to give that a bit of a sand as well, get those spurs off. And then we can mount this back onto, you see the sun shining through. Yay! First time through it's going to be a bit tight, but they'll loosen up as I move them around more. All good. Now, which way you mount it depends on which way you prefer to hold your router. I prefer to have my router trigger in my right hand and my start and stop here and my safety guard facing me. So that's how I'm going to mount it on that. I want it that way around. Just like that. Just like that, love. Just like that. And there, my friends, is your circle, your router cutter jig. Circle cutter router jig. Super simple. You could totally use wood for this. I'm using plastic because I had that on hand from making my oval cutting jig. Check it out. There's the oval that I cut. So, okay, stay tuned for the making of that jig. You can most definitely use wood. Just obviously the thicker the wood, the less plunge depth you get from your router, but the thinner the wood, the less strength it has, although it doesn't need a lot of strength to cut circles. So I'm going to clear this off and let's take this for a spin. Circle cutter, spin. Funny? No. Alright. If you don't like my jokes, find another channel. I like my jokes. Okay, so I've just forgotten how many inches that first hole is. It's at 4 inches. So that I'm going to write an 8 next to that. And a 10. Just so 12, 14, 16. Put an 18 up here. So I know. Now this piece of wood is 12. Just under 16 inches. So if I go for a 14 inch, 14, which is that should give us a nice big circle. Alright, so let's give that a go. So what I like to do is I always like to start my cutter on the edge, so that it's a little bit hanging over, but not all the way. And pretty much as long as we're roughly centered, we should be good. Doesn't need to go far in, it just needs to hold. Too far in, it might go all the way through, and then you have a hole on your painting surface. That's not cool. Now, all of this, my friends, has been done with the router unplugged. So now I need to plug it in. Are you ready for this? Bum, bum, bum. Let's do it. And I've gone and put... I'm standing on the wrong side for it to be around the right way. It'll be around the right way when I get round to the swap hands. All good. Now, one thing is, once I get this turned around to here, I don't want that. I want that to be still over the hole, because I don't want to be making holes in this, because that's what I make my ovals out of. It's the same stuff actually. They look different. They're different colours, but they're both 18mm MDF. And you don't have to do 18mm It's just, I use 18mm because that's what I've got in the house. In fact, my husband came home with this yesterday. It was about to be thrown in a dumpster on a building site. And he said, oh, whoop, my wife would love that. And he was absolutely right. So, I'm going to do about 4 rounds to get right the way through this because it's so thick. Otherwise the bit is trying to chew on too much at a time. So I'm just going to plunge it down. As I come around the home straight, I don't want to be having it falling out from underneath me. So I'm just going to make sure that we're supported. Once I've got past a certain point, that's nice and sitting down there. I'm just going to put this bit of scrap underneath to support that side so it doesn't fall. And once I get round to about here, because here's our breakthrough point, once I get round to about here, I'm going to drag this part over onto here to support it. So, you ready for this? Dun, dun, dun. No, we're not quite there yet. Slow down. And there she is. A Wheel of Fortune. Woohoo! So let's get that nail out. Just like that. Stick that so that's not sticking through. And there we go, guys. It needs a bit of a edge and a sand, but we've got a beautiful round circle that could be anything. And once I've put some paint on it, it will be something amazing. So we've got a little nail hole on that side and nothing on this side, so we're good to go. Once it's been sanded up, I'll probably round the edges a little bit, but this, as I showed you, 18, 20, 22, 24 inches in diameter. That's big. That's, you want to, if you're going to go any bigger than that, you don't want it to be solid because it'll be too heavy. So thanks for joining me here at DIY Give It a Try, where we are willing to give anything a go. I've just watched YouTube videos on how to make this and given it a go, so what could you give a go that you haven't been willing to give a go before? If you want to see what I do with this, jump on over to my other channel, Mickey Art, MCE space ART, and subscribe, and you'll be able to see what happens. And if you enjoyed this and want to know how I made this, with just a slight modification to this, jump on over, jump in, subscribe, and that video will be along really soon. So thanks for joining me here at Mickey Art. No, DIY Give It a Try. And you know, as I always say, be you, and as Dr. Dane here says, be you and change the world. I adore you, have fun, and I'll see you in another video. Bye bye.